It's a momentous day. I'm not talking about England. I'm talking about CareFlex launching a new chair. We are really excited to be with you this morning. My name's Les Jones. I'm a business development manager with CareFlex. I'm here with my colleague Rebecca Dunstall, who's our clinical lead, and Rebecca will lead the presentation this morning. I'll just pass you over to Rebecca, and I'll just go away and start to prepare some of the
Thank you.
slides.
So as Les said, I'm Rebecca Dunstall. I'm a clinical specialist at CareFlex. I'm a physiotherapist by background, and I was fortunate enough when I graduated to specialise straight away into learning disabilities and neurology. So posture management has been a key objective of mine with my clients throughout my clinical practice. So that's where my passion for specialist seating comes from. Now, just a bit about the format. We're going to just run through a few slides just to really set the scene on the new MultiAdjust, some of the core principles that we're hoping to meet, along with some key features and how it's positioned within our range. And then we'll go on to the best part where Les will run through the actual workings of the chair as a product demo. And then we'll come back then to the presentation just to look at some case studies and how we've found the MultiAdjust out working out there in the real world. Thank you, Les. So you should all see the presentations. Thank you, Les. So just quickly recap what we're going to run through. So the core principles of seating, the MultiAdjust at a glance, the CareFlex range and how it's positioned, the clinical justification, and then we'll go on to the key features, which Les will take the lead on. You can actually see the chair in action, and then we'll come back. Just a brief recap of the technical information, because there probably will be a lot of facts and figures thrown around, and then case studies, and we'll finish the session then with some question and answers. If you could use the chat function. I don't know if you saw, but we are recording, so we've muted and switched off the videos. So please do use the chat function, and we've got Kim monitoring.
Yep.
So if there's any questions, and then we can address them at the end. So the MultiAdjust has been designed in line with our core principles of seating. Now here at CareFlex, our main objective with the chair users, with our clients and customers, has to be comfort. It's what essentially allows us to meet our seating objectives, because regardless of the clinical benefits, if the user's not comfortable, they're simply not going to use that chair. We're also offering postural support. As we know, postural management is key to enhancing function, protecting the body shape and reducing the risk of secondary complications. Pressure care to ensure that we are reducing the risk of any pressure ulcers and pressure injuries, because when they do happen, it can be so painful and debilitating for our users and really does have an impact on quality of life. We always want to encourage independence and functional movement. We always want to ensure safety, not only for the user, to make sure that they have feelings of safety and postural stability within the chair, but also for the support network as well, and those helping the user to use the chair appropriately. And of course, why we're all here to increase well-being and promote good quality of life. So the MultiAdjust at a glance, that was all in the name really, the adjustability. It's highly adjustable with tilt in space and back angle recline, plus seat width, seat depth and armrest height adjustments. And of course, this will all become clear when you see it in action with Les shortly. It's designed for multi-user environments, so an ideal solution for hospital settings, care homes, respite care, for example. We've wanted to make sure that it is user-centred, is client-centred, so a range of postural support with hoist compatibility and transfer arms to meet their individual seating objectives while still being suitable for multi-user environments. And then there's a MultiAdjust Plus, which is an upgrade option for tailored more towards the individual user, where you might need a choice of back support or chair colour. And it also includes the water cell technology, which you might be aware of. CareFlex is standard in our adult chair range. And this then obviously, because it's perfect for domestic settings. We wanted to make sure that it was a comprehensive solution for equipment stores as well, so that it was simple to refurbish and clean and decontaminate, sorry, thus helping to speed up that reissue between users. And of course, the CareFlex high quality that we are so used to, and something we really push for in all our products and services. There's a lifetime warranty on the frame and metalwork, and then a 1-year warranty on upholstery, casters, levers and electrics. Now, this is how it fits within the CareFlex range. It is an additional product. We obviously still have the range and all the other range of chairs available depending on the user's needs. So we've said that the MultiAdjust sits very comfortably between the HydroTilt and the HydroFlex. So when we're looking at postural presentations and postural needs, we've got the mild on the left there, working our way up through more complex presentations up to the Smart Seat Pro on the right. And you can see the MultiAdjust there in the middle and the MultiAdjust Plus. Now, when an individual's ability to achieve good sitting posture is affected, whether that's through illness, injury or disability, it can have a significant impact on their health and well-being. Now, specialist seating aims to allow individuals who might otherwise have difficulty to achieve the optimum sitting posture to sit out. And as we've mentioned, that's comfortably, with the ability to interact with their environment, to participate in activities of daily living, and to enhance their physiological function to reduce the risk of secondary complications. The MultiAdjust has been designed and engineered for individuals who present with moderate postural needs and are at risk of pressure injury, especially those in multi-user environments, of course. So what we mean by moderate postural needs is for those situations where support is needed to manage the user's pressure care needs and their postural needs while still maintaining comfort, function and interaction. Their posture may be more challenging and we may need additional support to correct or accommodate the body segments. And the primary goals, I feel like I'm repeating myself here, but it's really important for us to drive that comfort and stability, enhance functional movement, postural support and pressure redistribution. In terms of the chair requirements, what we have done with the MultiAdjust is ensuring that it's robust and adaptable, so it can support the user's posture and allow them to interact with their environment, which is critical for their well-being. It's simple and safe to operate, with being able to encourage regular repositioning them, either independently or with support, depending on the environment. And that'll become clear when Les actually then goes through the chair and strips it all back, so you can just see how modular it is. And we wanted to ensure that there was integrated pressure management as well to reduce the risk of pressure ulcers, as maybe this type of user has prolonged abnormal postures. So the MultiAdjust offers a range of function accessories that will allow a comprehensive seating solution to enable the user to achieve their seating objectives. The key features that Les will address as he runs the product demonstration shortly will be the reliability, the adjustability, infection prevention and control. I'll cover a bit on support network consideration now. Tilt in space, back angle recline, the pressure care, so the reflection foam, but then also the option to upgrade to water cell technology, independently elevated leg rest, angle and height adjustable flip-up foot plate with a range of postural supports. CareFlex have been collaborating with OTs and physios and nurses since 1995, so maths 26 years. Right. Yeah. To develop innovative and effective specialist seating. And we really do understand the importance of balancing comfort, function, postural support and pressure care. We have confidence and pride in our products and the positive impact that we know that they have on people's lives. So we have submitted our products for independent testing and evaluation over the years, which includes pressure mapping and also published clinical research. The most recent one was Bartley and Stevens in the tissue of journal viability. You can check out our website. We've got a specific section there on the info centre that, where you can get copies of the summaries because we really think it's important to help healthcare professionals with their clinical justifications as well and their prescription. At the end, we'll just run through some resources that come with the MultiAdjust because a lot of work has gone into this. And in terms of the launch pack, which we'll talk about later, there's a great document in there on clinical justifications and case studies as well, which goes through all aspects of the chair and why we justify and why we prescribe that. So every chair must be set up to fit its user. If it's not, then it can cause more harm than good. Seat depth, seat width and armrest height adjustment make MultiAdjust ideal for both individual users and those in multiple user settings. And it's this adjustability that's critical for postural stability and pressure distribution, because it means that we can configure the dimensions of the chair depending on the individual with different body shapes and different sizes. And I think that'll become clear when we run through the case studies as well, how we use the MultiAdjust for two completely different body shapes really and sizes. Yeah. Infection prevention and control has to be considered during the assessment process and prescription processes, because specialist seating systems within health and social care environments can be a cause of cross-contamination. We know that. So we wanted to make sure that the MultiAdjust modular design allowed for simplified and easier cleaning of the individual chair sections and frame to be able to decontaminate, and that'll certainly become clear when Les runs through the project demo. There's cap bolts as well to ensure smooth edges with no crevices for enhanced infection prevention and control. And I just wanted to touch upon the support network as well, because thinking about this type of client, maybe those with moderate postural needs, we may be relying on their support network for consistent and appropriate use of the chair, especially if they are hoisted, for example, and we need to rely on the carers or family members to be able to get that initial positioning right. So that's why we need to consider the support network and how that chair will be used within the environment. Now, the MultiAdjust has been designed so that the adjustment mechanisms are simple to use, easy to find and tool-free where possible. It's lifting, hoist and standing hoist compatible, so not only to promote safe moving and handling for the non-ambulance user, but to facilitate transfers for those who remain ambulant or semi-ambulant as well, hopefully then reducing carer load and dependency. It's also fully removable arms that will allow easy access to slings and can facilitate transfers from both sides too. 4 brake and swivel casters promote security and smooth portering. So this is really as well within multi-user environments in mind. We'll cover tilted space in a bit more detail, but this is a function that can really assist with moving and handling, because we're utilising gravity to position the pelvis at the back of the chair. So it would just be a case of making sure that we hand that tilted space function over responsibly and make sure that the support network know how to use it appropriately as well. When we run through the chair, you'll be able to see that we've made sure to label tilting space and back angle recline on the push handle levers to make sure that it is, again, used appropriately. Okay, so the best part of this. Get the video back up and see the chair in action. There we go.
Okay, so I've got the 2 versions of the chair here, the MultiAdjust Plus and the MultiAdjust. We'll explain a little bit more about the MultiAdjust Plus later on in the presentation. But if I just move this back for a second to give me a little bit more space. So the MultiAdjust, the name sums up its qualities: tilting space, back angle recline, elevating leg rest with an angle adjustable foot plate, seat depth, seat width and arm height adjustment with a range of lateral supports and headrests and accessories such as chest harnesses, groin harnesses, tray, pommel. We'll show these in a little bit more detail as I move through the presentation. I'll be talking lots of figures and statistics, but as we've already said, as of Monday, our website will go live, and if you want to refer to the website, you'll also get the launch pack as well, which will provide you with the detail. Make as many notes as you like, but just to let you know, help is on its way. There's a whole wealth of backup information for the product available. So if I start at the foot and the leg, elevating leg rest, lever on the left-hand side, 2 options with a range of movement. Option 1 is 65 to 135 degrees. Option 2 is 85 to 160 degrees. Option 1, that 65-degree angle, is going to help us accommodate the client with the leg contracture. The foot plate, as it's angle adjustable, can be adjusted to accommodate as well. Bring this back out. Instead, the foot plate's angle adjustable, or when it's not in use, can be just flicked away. For clients with a longer leg, we can just extend the length. What I'm doing there is there's a little catch on the reverse side of the leg rest. I pull the catch out, I extend the foot plate on its stem to the appropriate length. And just to say as well, as part of the support package, we've produced a series of how-to videos which breaks down each component and accessory of the chair and explains how to fit and to operate that component or accessory. Moving up the chair, we have seat width and seat depth adjustment and arm height adjustment. If I just work through those one at a time. So if you're familiar with the CareFlex family of chairs, the HydroFlex and HydroTilt in particular, seat depth adjustment on the MultiAdjust is very, very similar. What we have is a lever here. If you can see, I put my hand behind it just to give you. This is a lock. Okay, and that lock holds the seat base in place. I press the lever down and keep it held. I can bring the back towards me to increase seat depth. It just locks in place. I can push it, just pop the brakes on and make it easier. I can push it away from me to decrease the seat depth.
I think it's really key, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
The basic chair dimensions is often something that can be overlooked, but it's actually the most critical part of the setup. We need to get the chair dimensions right, and that's why we really wanted to focus on adjustability for multi-user environments. The seat depth, for example, even for me, I don't have any damage to my body systems, but if I were to be sat in a chair with a seat depth that was too long for me, I would naturally go into sacral sitting because I'd be seeking that support through my feet to get myself comfortable and stable. So I've just created a posterior pelvic tilt, quite a significant postural challenge, just because the seat depth was incorrect.
Yeah.
So we really wanted to make that adjustability something that was tool-free and easy to do between users.
Yeah, and like with any form of specialist seating, the devil is in the detail, and we like to think that that attention to detail reflects itself in the design of the chair. Just as I've got the chair facing the camera, I just want to, there's a label on the back of every CareFlex chair. It's a unique serial number, okay? The chair is a class 1 medical device, and the design process mirrors the standards set by that process of being a class 1 medical device. So just a badge of quality, if you like. So always make a note of that number. You'll find that really handy. That'll allow us to give you the exact specification of a chair. Allows us to track chairs as well if need be.
And if anything needs to be added, then retrospectively.
Yeah, exactly. If for example, you see a component that you think may work slightly differently or slightly better for a client, quote the serial number when you order that component. So there's your seat depth adjustment. The chair as standard comes with seat width adjustment. What I'm going to do, it's a little bit difficult to show you on camera, but there's a hand wheel at the front and at the back on the inside of the wing of the chair. It's really accessible, just a little bit difficult to show you. So if I just loosen that off on either side, that breaks on, that allows me to increase or decrease the seat depth, seat width. And
the fantastic thing about this is that we can change the seat depth, the seat width between the front and the back.
Yeah.
So if we are working with individuals, as showing, where we might need to accommodate wind sweeping, for example, we can offset them to accommodate that.
Because a large percentage of our customers, we're dealing with accommodating a fixed posture. If need be, looks like you can take the arm off completely. And as you see in the chair, this is a standard multi-adjust. As I've got the arm away, I can show you how all the hand wheels have to loosen to remove the side of the arm. There's one here at the back, here at the front. Okay, you just tighten that up onto the arm, and it locks that arm in place. We've also got arm height adjustment. Again, sorry, the seat width range is 400 millimeters to 500 millimeters. We've got arm height adjustment. Again, just a little bit easier for me to show you with the arm removed from the chair. So if you could see that, Rebecca, from the zoom in a little bit. Little plunger on each of the attachments. If I pull the plunger out, I can increase the seat height or decrease the seat height, and I can do that incrementally. The range is 200 millimeters to 250 millimeters.
And this can be separated again from front to back. So if we with individuals maybe who have specific postural challenges at the upper limbs, maybe they have contractures and need to be higher at the front to be able to give them the upper limb support, we can then have the front raise higher and so on. So yeah, be able to have that adjustability. So
to continue my journey up through the chair, I'm going to look at the different back styles that are available. We have a flat back. To the flat back, we can add adjustable laterals. They attach to the chair. If you know the HydroFlex, another one of the chairs from the range, they attach to the chair in a very similar way. And what I'll do, I'll just pop them on and I'll turn the chair around just to show you how I fitted those. So you can see very similar to the HydroFlex. There's a plunger button here. I pull that out. I can move the lateral down. I can move it up. Turn the wheel to loosen off the lock on the lateral. It means I can move that out or move that in.
And you can see this is done independently as well. So maybe if you need 2-point lateral support at different heights, maybe for someone with a scoliosis, we can then accommodate that.
Be bringing that in. I could be perhaps leaving that wide or bringing that in, dropping it down. You can see there's a whole range of adjustment in the lateral. I just take that away. Other options for backs include the waterfall back and the contoured back. It's a good illustration of the adjustability of the chair. Just strip out the flat back. The flat back is held in place, or all the backs on the headrest, with a clip system. The fixing points are pre-drilled into the back of the chair. So if I want to find the waterfall back, the clip system, pop that in place, just lock that through on the other side. Again, no tools, no Velcro.
So in terms of being able to accommodate or correct different postural challenges, something like the waterfall back, maybe for someone with a kyphotic posture, we can reconfigure the wadding inside to support the apex of that spine to distribute pressure.
Yeah, we can open the back section of each pillow and just take some of the padding out and move it around.
But then if we need more lateral support, but we still want to maintain that comfort, there's something like the contoured back then.
Yeah, the contoured back, yeah, contoured back, just that nice deep contoured shape. And again, just bob in the back, and again, that just clips in place on the back of the chair. Just pop that away. Headrests. soft shallow headrest, very similar to or the same as the shallow headrest on the rest of the CareFlex range. Or the soft profile headrest.
Again, very good for people with that kyphotic forward head posture. Yeah, if we need to then bridge that gap for pressure distribution.
We can add a tray to the chair. This will just clip on. Attachment points at the front and at the back of the chair.
So if somebody, if we want to, we keep talking about independence and function. If somebody needs that anterior support for communication aids, for example, or eating and drinking.
Yeah.
But then also as a postural support as well, if somebody needs that anterior support. Yeah.
That's the headrest. Other accessories available are things such as a pommel, straps and harnesses, a groin harness, a pelvic strap, a chest harness. Moving again to the main controls of the chair, we've tilt and space and back angle recline. I'll bring this a little bit closer to the camera.
And this is what we mentioned about the labels as well, because back angle recline and tilt in space, the two functions when they used appropriately can be instrumental to postural stability, but actually we need to be responsible in prescribing them to make sure that they are used appropriately, because they're not safe for everyone or appropriate for that matter. So we wanted to make sure it was very clear for the support network which handle to use and so on. Especially
in my experience as a seating assessor and as a problem solver, back angle recline, you know, that can cause us massive issues, but it's essential for some clients. So what we have on the back of the chair, on the push lever, top right, I'm in reverse here, sorry. Top right, as with all CareFlex chairs, is tilt in space. So squeeze the lever, press, release, wherever we need to position our client. So
tilt in space, we are keeping the hip angle the same, so it's the posture neutral, the and the hip range is staying the same, so that we are keeping that pelvic stability by utilizing tilt in space, maybe for energy management or pressure redistribution.
Back angle recline on the left hand side, it's what I call a double lock. So if a carer were to come along and just try to operate, they'd find that lever locked. So it's a double action. I need to release the lock, squeeze the lever, adjust. When I release the lever, you hear the click. That's locking that in place.
Now, we really wanted to be careful with that double lock, because back angle recline, we need to make sure that somebody's got that pelvic stability before we utilize that back angle recline, so we can actually cause the sacral system, we can increase the friction as shear forces. So again, it's just another function we wanted to make simple to use, but used appropriately as well.
Back angle, tilt in space range. Option 1 is 35 degrees as standard. Option 2 would give us 30 degrees recline or back with I call a negative or a tilt forward. This chair actually isn't set up for that. This chair is set up as option 1, straight 35 degrees. So the idea is that that positive tilt forward in the chair helps those semi-ambulant clients who get feet flat on the floor. Back angle recline, upright, we're at 95 degrees. We add 40 degrees to take us to 135 degrees.
While we're talking about options, did we mention about the leg rest, 2 different options?
I think I did, but I'll repeat myself just in case.
Just a really good function that there's 2 separate options for the leg rest, because we are talking about people with moderate postural needs. We may be seeing those with knee contractures or fixed deformities, and so to be able to have an option between a negative angle at the leg rest.
So option 1 would be 65 degrees to 135 degrees. Option 2 would be 85 degrees to 160 degrees, so that leg rest would rise that a little bit higher.
Yeah, it's a great range depending on the user's hamstrings.
We've gone for that 65 degree angle, if you like, as a standard, because we anticipate that's going to be a greater need.
Yeah.
And the other feature we did talk about and it's quite important. We've taken a lot of feedback from people managing, running equipment services and people accessing equipment from community loan stores. And that's the turnaround of a product. So, you know, you get a complex bit of kit back into your store, it needs to be decontaminated. So I'll just strip this chair down, just to give you an idea of how quickly we can refurbish if need be. Deep clean, decontaminate.
Or even transport.
Yeah. Or also, you know, the poor delivery driver, especially here in South Wales with our terraced houses, limited doorways, steps at front of properties. So that's stripped the chair down. I'm out of breath now. It's quite warm here. But yeah, so you can now see how easily you can access all those crevices. If there were any crevices, we've got smooth surfaces and cat bolts. But you can get into the body of the chair to help deep clean, decontaminate, refurbish, and reissue a chair really quickly. So I'll hand back to Rebecca. I'm out of breath. I'm going to rebuild my chair.
While Les is doing that, I'll just quickly get the next presentation up. Okay. Sorry, we're just finishing the next presentation. Brilliant. So hopefully everyone can see that now. So just a quick recap, and I know Les was showing you the MultiAdjust then, showing you some of the upgrade options, but just to recap that the MultiAdjust Plus is a chair that can be upgraded because it features the water cell technology standard and choice of waterfall or contoured back and a choice of colour as that package. Les did run through some facts and figures there, just so you can see that written down there, the basic dimensions. But as Les mentioned, all this information will be in the launch packs that we send out to you next week. There'll be other adjustments there with seat width, armrest height, seat depth, tilt and space ranges. We see the factory settings and the optional settings that Les covered. On to some case studies so you can see how we have seen the MultiAdjust out in real life, really. So we were able to meet Barry recently and had the privilege of providing him with the all-new MultiAdjust for his very first chair trial. We visited Barry at the care home where he lives and met with care home staff and his therapy team. And the aim of the visit was to find out if CareFlex seating could improve his quality of life. Barry is a 62-year-old gentleman who enjoys music, one-to-one activities and discussing his favourite recipes. He receives long-term nursing care, including full assistance with medication and personal care. He lives with cortical blindness and limited functional movement, but is able to communicate his wants and needs verbally. Barry's diagnosis is progressive multifocal leukoencephalopathy. Barry presents with left-sided weakness and reduced postural control. He has instability at the pelvis and gravity pulls him into a posterior pelvic tilt. So he's got that sacral sit-in. He's non-ambulant and fully hoisted for all transfers, and he can show sensitivity to touch The care staff mentioned this, that he did at times show sensitivity to touch and does experience episodes of pain, but it was well managed with analgesia. Prior to CareFlex involvement, Barry used his wheelchair throughout the day for all seated activities, so he had no access to any alternative seating. Care home staff reported episodes of agitation and behaviours that challenge following moving and handling. And during the assessment, it was evident that Barry had a low tolerance of a sitting position in his wheelchair. He was at risk of increased agitation with continued prolonged use of his wheelchair, because there was a clear correlation, was there, between his behaviour and his transfers into the wheelchair.
Yeah, they were difficult periods for Barry.
Yeah, and I think he was then negatively associating moving and handling them with being in a fixed position throughout the day. So we really wanted that alternative comfortable seating. And he's also, of course, at risk of pressure injury due to unequal weight distribution and also deteriorating pain and fatigue if he didn't have that opportunity for comfort and relaxation. Now, an alternative seating system that promoted that comfort, improved his well-being, and a much-needed change of position was most definitely indicated. And the MultiAdjust offers flexibility with a range of seat adjustments, which would provide Barry's condition as it progressed and his needs change. Tilt in space to encourage pelvic stability in conjunction with the padded pelvic belt. Tilt in space in combination with the back angle recline to allow for periods of rest and energy management during daily use. And also adjustable lateral support to encourage trunk alignment to promote optimum physiological function, especially during an eating and drinking for Barry, and to restrict his lean-in posture as much as was possible. Also, MultiAdjust had an angle adjustable footplate to enable a comfortable lower limb position to allow the feedback necessary postural stability. And we were aware of his sensory changes. So there is the option for a detachable foot pad for comfort and to be a bit more gentle and with the support for greater comfort and pressure redistribution. That seemed to work
quite well. Yeah. And just on the image there, we also repositioned the arm to give him better arm support. We've got the height adjustable arms, which we brought up on Barry's right.
Yeah. The reflection foam back and cushion ensured adequate pressure care whilst promoting comfort and function. And also the hoist compatibility here was a key thing because we wanted to ensure the care home staff were able to complete moving and handling safely and with ease to hopefully then, and to be more effective and efficient with it, to hopefully improve Barry's tolerance of those transfers as well and get the initial positioning right. So Barry immediately settled into the chair and communicated that he felt very comfortable, which was fantastic to hear. We were concerned about how the chair trial was going to go, but he was very positive with the initial feedback.
That's right. I think, anything at the introduction of any new bit of equipment is always, you worry a little bit, but it was a really positive experience.
Yeah. Barry's seating objective above all else was to be comfortable, in turn hopefully reducing his agitation and improving his well-being, as we felt that was the outcome that would have had the greatest impact on his quality of life. He did have good skin integrity, but we did hand over to care staff the need to continue to monitor and gradually increase his time sat out. We knew that Barry could alternate between the MultiAdjust and his current wheelchair to achieve both comfort and postural management throughout the day. But he seemed to tolerate that transition really, really well between moving and handling and going into a new alternative seating. So on review, when we went back out, care home staff reported a noticeable change in his mood and behaviour, with reduced episodes of agitation and a clear willingness to sit out in the MultiAdjust during the day. And they reported they even felt relaxed enough to fall asleep in the chair during that trial. The MultiAdjust was effective in increasing his tolerance of a seated posture, which obviously in turn allowed him to achieve a much needed change of position and a good alternative to his wheelchair. And Barry concluded our visit stating that he wouldn't change a thing, which is praise indeed, really.
Yeah, which is what you want to hear.
Yeah. Now, of course, achieving good sitting posture is important. I am a physio at the end of the day, but often compromise is the magic word here, because compliance and consistency is what's key to realistically meeting an individual's seating objectives. If they don't sit in the chair, we aren't going to meet their needs. There's no higher praise than an individual wanting to use a chair because they know it will allow them to be comfortable, safe and content. And we look forward to revisiting and delivering the MultiAdjust. Back to Barry. Okay, so case study 2, Jane's story. We also had the pleasure of meeting Jane for another trial of the MultiAdjust. Not so good on return though. I know you're feeling like the bad guy when you.
Yeah, I had to go and retrieve the chair yesterday after a period of trial, and they didn't want me to take the chair. So
yes, we look forward to going back.
Yeah, I got the short end of the stick there.
Okay, so Jane is a 55-year-old lady who loves watching television and chatting with her friends at the care home. She receives long-term nursing care, but has a great support network in her mother and sister. She does present with cognitive impairments, but is able to communicate well verbally. Jane's diagnoses are epilepsy and subdural hematoma, which was managed via craniotomy following a head injury. Jane presents with generalised weakness and reduced posture control, which was resulted in fatigue. She has instability of the pelvis and was presenting with a habitual posterior pelvic tilt and a pelvic rotation. She also presented with an increased thoracic kyphosis with shoulder protraction and a foot drop. Jane is non-ambulant and fully hoisted for all transfers. Prior to CareFlex involvement, Jane was another client, another customer who used her wheelchair throughout the day for all of her seated activities. Care staff were concerned about her risk of pressure injuries and also her well-being. A big part of her day was interacting with her friends at the care home, and she was fatiguing too quickly to be able to have meaningful interaction throughout the whole day. And she was asking to go back to bed as well in the afternoons, which was then obviously limiting her interaction. During the assessment, it was evident that Jane needed a seating system to promote pelvic stability, of course, support the upper limbs and open up the shoulder girdle. And she also needed an opportunity to relax to encourage this energy conservation. The MultiAdjust was able to offer tilting space with a padded pelvic belt to promote that postural stability. The tilting space also utilised gravity to correct Jane's kyphotic posture as much as possible. The reflection foam at the contoured back supported this trunk alignment whilst accommodating the remaining increased thoracic kyphosis that she had to distribute that pressure. Back angle recline and elevated leg rest was able to manage her generalised weakness and allow for periods of rest for energy conservation during the day, which was essential for her to continue engaging with friends and family. The height adjustable armrest ensured appropriate upper limb support, which was crucial to her shoulder and head position. And we really saw that shoulder girdle open up and depress down so that we opened up and really contoured into the chair.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth pointing out as well, we used the same chair with Barry and Jane, two different people in terms of physique. The main difference between the specification both chairs was that Barry, we had used the adjustable laterals, and for Jane we used the contoured back.
The angle adjustable foot plate was able to correct her ankle position, so the foot drop that we were seeing for optimal support and pressure distribution, and I think gave her that feedback that she needed for postural stability as well. And the hoist compatibility again ensured the care home staff were able to complete movement and handling safely and effectively. Jane settled comfortably and said that she was very happy to keep sitting in the chair. And on review, care home staff reported that she continued to be just as happy to sit out in the chair during the day. Jane appeared to be able to interact with other residents for longer periods of time before needing a rest, and was generally more content.
Yeah.
Until
I had to take the chair away. Yeah. Not so content.
And just a quick note again on this compliance, this consistency and compromise. I feel like we are repeating this, but it is really key to actually realistically meeting our objectives. And finding the most appropriate seating system is always a fine balance, but no seating objective should be given greater priority than the individual's user's comfort. And witnessing an individual smiling more just because they feel safe and able to relax really is the highlight of our working day. Okay, just to recap on some key dates then. So excitingly, as of today, all the team are available for assessments for the MultiAdjust.
If you've got contact details for your regional CareFlex seating assessor, give them a call if you need to see the chair. We'll be following up, but as part of the launch pack, you'll get contact details, but info@careflex.co.uk if you need something today or tomorrow. But Monday, we'll see the website updated, which is the 12th. And the literature packs will be sent out to you as well. They'll be sent out electronically. So yeah, in terms of production in terms of producing orders for people starts around the 9th of August. You'll find there's a full package of documents and literature to support this. There's a tremendous amount of work gone on at CareFlex with numerous people that spent long hours proofreading, checking, researching, cutting, bending, welding. There's an immense amount of work gone on to support the project as you see it at today's point in time. But also supporting customers to be able to put that into action as well. Yeah. So things like the website anyway has an info centre. Les mentioned the how-to videos, the assessment guide, clinical justification, the case study document that will go alongside. Yeah. The launch pack will have access to the user guides, product brochures, order forms. Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole. Yeah, and we're also available as well if you've got any specific questions via email or via the CareFlex office who can pass that on to us. Summary then, MultiAdjust, perfect as a stock chair, geared towards multi-user environments, aimed at users with moderate postural needs and pressure care for users at risk of pressure injury. The MultiAdjust Plus targeted more towards individualised prescriptions due to the choice of back support and colour, aimed at users with moderate postural needs, but with the addition of integrated water cell technology, it'll offer pressure care for users with an increased risk of pressure injury. And in terms of, I'm sure there'll be some questions on prices. You'll have a lot more detail on this next week. But there is preferential pricing. Prices will depend on volume as well, but we'll have those conversations with you, perhaps on almost a one-to-one basis, but you'll have more information next week. Okay, we can open up to question and answers. Yeah, does anybody have any questions? Look at the video back up so you can see us. There we go. Just got back. Any questions from anybody? It must have been we covered every aspect and every point. Anybody? Anything at all? You can always contact us if you wanted to ask something more specific as well. Yeah. Via the CareFlex. I think it's info@careflex.co.uk. Yeah, info@careflex.co.uk. Well, if there is anything, please just ask away. We'll monitor the chat for a little while. You've got our contact details. We'll also be in touch with you to follow up with the launch pack. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. This is something really exciting for us, and we couldn't wait to share it with you all. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's been a great week, isn't it? Really. I mean, what with the football and everything else. I didn't want to mention the football too much. We're here in South Wales at the moment, but we're happy for you all. We are. We are. Okay, perhaps we'll switch the video off then. Yep. Thank you. Bye-bye.